this is what I always tell learners. Poetry is simple. That is the first thing. Mostly, poetry of paper 1, you need to get all those answers from those questions. So in our today's class, it's very simple. I'll make you understand paper 1 poetry, the questions, and I'll make you understand questions that tend to come in paper 2 poetry. And this is what you'll come to understand. The questions are always the effectiveness of the sound patterns. So the questions are just the same, but most learners tend not to get those marks based on how you answer the questions. So today I want us to look at the poetry of paper 1, then we look at the poetry of paper 2 in line with the questions that they like examining, and then I'll guide you on how we answer such questions. So allow me to start with paper 1 poetry. Paper 1 poetry. So when we talk of paper 1 poetry, these one patterns. They'll ask you about sound patterns. They'll ask you about effectiveness. So you can write these ones down. Effectiveness of the sound patterns. Effectiveness of the sound patterns. They'll ask you about how to say a line. How to say a particular line. I'm going to discuss each and every a particular line. They'll equally ask you which words you'll stress in a line, which words to stress in a line, which words to stress in a line. Not forgetting, they'll ask you to describe the rhyme scheme of the poem. They'll always talk of the rhyme scheme or the sound rhyme pattern. They'll talk of the rhyme scheme or the rhyme pattern of the poem or the rhyme pattern. And lastly, they'll ask you about how to perform a particular line. How to perform a line. Sorry, I've just forgotten another most important thing. They'll talk about verbal and non-verbal cues. And non-verbal cues. So students, this must come from here. So to me, the trick, English is quite a simple subject. The trick is this. You just need to master all these in line with answering the questions and knowing what they are. Simple like that. So once you're done, you will let me know. Just write them down. We are going to tackle each and every. I'll start with the sound patterns. And you'll be very keen when I'll be discussing these in line with how to answer the question. So try to be a little bit fast. Try to be a little bit fast. There, I just want an example of a sound pattern in poetry. Any person? Any song? Yes? Good. Assonance. Another person who can give us another one? Sound pattern? Yes? So alliteration. Good. Another person? Consonance. Perfect. Another? Fine. Now, what you've said is quite true. Now, these are the sound patterns. Let me just start from there. We have the following sound patterns, and you should be in a position to know them. So when we talk of the sound patterns, I'll list all of them here for you. We have assonance, we have assonance, we have consonance, we have consonance, we have alliteration, we have alliteration, we have rhyme, we have repetition, we have onomatopoeia, and lastly, we have what we call ideophone. At this stage, I'll not mention patterns. So these are the sound patterns actually. We'll be talking of assonance, consonance, alliteration, rhyme, repetition, onomatopoeia, and ideophone. I hope I'm clear up to there. Now, to start with, when you talk of assonance, what is assonance? Assonance simply entails a repetition of the vowel sounds, specifically vowel sounds in a line of a poem. I hope I'm clear. Repetition of the vowel sounds. So here we'll be focusing on the vowel sounds. Vowel sounds. And when we talk of the vowel sounds, there are 5. A, E, O, U. So any place we see repetition of any of the vowel sounds, we'll call it assonance. And the vowel sound must be the same. I hope I'm clear. So in a way, I'll say assonance is the repetition of the same vowel sounds in a line of a poem. Let's have an example. Maybe a line of a poem reads this way. Beryl bought berries. I hope you can see. Beryl bought berries. You see this and you see that. They are repeated. The sound A. Beryl bought berries. The A. It's repeated. Now, when you talk of, in a line there is assonance, maybe this is the line from the poem, you'll paraphrase the line like this. You'll use quotation marks like that, you'll bring the line like that, then once that is done, you'll equally close it with the closing quotation like that, and you underline the repeated sound. I hope I'm clear. Then you'll write the sound A is repeated. I hope you can see how I've enclosed my sound in 2 slant slashes. Don't just say the sound A is repeated minus enclosing in 2 slant slashes. You'll not score. Just to let you understand something, by the way, for instance, they tell you this question, identify the silent sound in the following words. So we have come here. I just want to give you something, a hint here, a quick one. Then I'll give you rapport. Who can tell us the silent sound here? The first one, come. The silent sound is B. So when they tell you identify the silent sound, you'll talk of B, then you do like that. The silent sound here is T. We talk of rapport. So here you talk of this. But the moment they say identify the silent letter, they talk of letter but not sound. Just talk of letter B and letter T. I hope you see the difference. So these ones are letters. If it's a letter, do not include in slant slashes. If it's a sound, you must. A learner, a student, who will identify a sound like this, minus including, in marking your national exams, you'll not score. PP1 students pass highly and they are very keen when it comes to marking it. I hope I'm clear there. Yeah, so that is it. Assonance, just bring the line and talk of the sound A is repeated, and ensure you don't forget to include it in 2 slant slashes. Any question till there? Good. Consonants. Now, when you talk of consonants, it is now from the word consonant, we get consonants. So consonants, I'll say, it is the repetition of consonantal sound in a line, but not at the initial position. I hope I'm clear. So I'm talking of repetition of consonantal sound in a line of a poem, but not initial position, but not at the initial position. I'll explain consonants and alliteration at the same time. So when we talk of consonants, it's the repetition of consonantal sound in a line of a poem, consonantal sound in a word in a line of a poem. I hope I'm clear. Yeah. So alliteration, repetition of the initial consonantal sound. Now, let me rub here. I explain consonants and alliteration at the same time. You see what I mean? The consonantal sounds. Now, the difference, look at sound B. You see this B? You see this B? And you see this B. Is it at the initial position or not? It is. Good. Now, will I call this one consonants or alliteration? Good. Alliteration. Correct. So you'll equally underline like that. Then you say the sound B, then like that, has been alliterated. That is alliteration. So that one is alliteration. But again, in this line, do we have consonants here? Yeah. Good. Which sound? R. Good. Wonderful. R. So I'll just talk of beryl. To those who don't see, let me rewrite it and bring it for you so that you see it quite well. Beryl bought berries. Then you see the R and then the R. So sound R. That's consonants. Why is it consonant? It's a consonantal sound. And then it's not at the initial position. Good. So I've explained assonance, alliteration, consonants. We are good there. Now, the next sound pattern that I want us to look at is what I'll call rhyme. Rhyme is a simple one. It's the use of rhyming words. And we know the rhyming words. They tend to end with almost the same sound at the end. Like, who will give us a random rhyming word? Like, for instance, 1 and 1. Number 1 and the past tense of win. I won the match. And number 1. So we never pronounce it as won, but 1. So that 1 and number 1, they tend to rhyme. So that's what we call rhyming words, the use of rhyme. So even in a poem, a poet will use the rhyme to maintain or rather achieve rhythm in his poem. So mostly tend to focus on the last words in a line. But don't forget, at times some words might rhyme within the poem, what I'll call internal rhyme. So yes, always focus on the last words, but if the last words there is no rhyme, try to look at the middle of the poem, in between the poem, the words in between, to see if you can get a word that tends to rhyme. Good. Now, after talking of that, allow me to go to the next one, what we call idiophone. And I want to explain idiophone together with onomatopoeia, because most learners confuse the two. Idiophone and onomatopoeia. And I like using this example. I say, the giraffe read patter, patter, patter. Yeah, so that's my sound. The giraffe read patter, 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 patter. Now, this instance, let me see if someone can just try. Is this one an idiophone or it's onomatopoeia? Someone says onomatopoeia. Another? Who thinks otherwise? Idiophone. Now, okay. At the end of it all, maybe we'll see who got it. Now, idiophone, to start with, is the initial sound produced by an object or something. Initial sound. Initial sound produced by an object or something. And this is another hint that I'll give you to make you identify idiophone in a very simple way. They are non-English words. That is it. They are non-English words. They are non-English words. To mean this, go to the dictionary, you'll not get that word. They are non-English words. That is it. So these are the initial sound produced. Coming back to my example, can we get this word in the dictionary? Patter, patter, patter. No. So it's idiophone. And it's the actual sound produced by something. I can give you another example. I say, the bees buzzed. That word there. That's idiophone. Yeah. The actual sound produced by something. And they are non-English words. There you've gotten. Now, if this is idiophone, then what is onomatopoeia? What is onomatopoeia? So when we talk of onomatopoeia, I'll say the effect of the sound produced. The effect of the sound produced. And I'll go ahead and tell you, onomatopoeia are English words. They are English words. They are English words. Now, many a times onomatopoeic words are always dynamic verbs and action verbs. To mean this, for instance, bees buzz. You see this word buzzed. This is now onomatopoeia. Or I give you another. I rattled my teeth. You know how you can, as a result of sound cold, when it's so cold, how your teeth always does it. Yeah, that's what we call rattling. So you rattled your teeth like that. So when I talk of this one, that one is idiophone. But rattled here, that one is onomatopoeia. Are we now okay up to there? Up to there, we are fine. So you know the difference between onomatopoeia and the difference between idiophone. That's okay. Now, after knowing that, there is a repetition as a sound pattern. But now, as for the last marking guidance of the Kenya National Examination Council, pertaining repetition, they decided to treat it as a stylistic device, but not as a sound pattern. I hope I'm clear there. So long ago, we used to have repetition as a sound pattern, but that has changed. Now they are talking of repetition should be more of a stylistic device than a sound pattern. But you can still have it, and you can get a mark for it. But mostly tend to treat it as a technique. Unless the poem doesn't have all these sound patterns, then talk of repetition. But if the poem has alliteration, consonants, assonance, idiophone, onomatopoeia, and rhyme, try to focus on those ones first. Up to there, we're okay. And if you don't know